Good evening and welcome to UBC News. Tonight, this Thursday, the 10th of April, 2025. My name is Micheal Lukomwa. We'll start with a look at the top story we have for you this evening. President Museveni, World Food Programme officials discuss agricultural strategies to promote refugee self-sufficiency. Opposition MPs deny allegations of receiving cash handouts. MPs voice concern over inadequate agricultural funding in upcoming budget. While African feminists call for stronger action to achieve SDGs. Once again, Dorothy Namuyomba joins us in the Sign Language Corner. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in our first story, has called for a shift from conventional humanitarian aid to sustainable agriculture-driven support for refugees in Uganda. During a meeting at State House Entebbe, the president engaged with senior officials from the United Nations World Food Programme, focusing on strategies to improve refugee livelihoods through effective land use and organized farming. Uganda remains one of the world's largest refugee hosting nations, currently home to over 1.8 million refugees and asylum seekers, mainly from South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Burundi. President Museveni proposed reorganizing refugee settlements into compact planned communities, thereby freeing up land for commercial agriculture. He cited Nachi Valley refugee settlement, covering 71 square miles, as an example of land that could be transformed into productive farmland, benefiting both refugees and host communities. World Food Programme Executive Director Cindy McCain praised Uganda's progressive refugee policies and agricultural potential, expressing optimism about the new approaches to boost food production and community resilience. World Food Programme Uganda Country Director Marcus Pryor also commended the strong partnership between the World Food Programme and the government of Uganda, particularly the Office of the Prime Minister. Over 30 members of parliament from the opposition side have signed a document condemning the alleged distribution of 100 million shillings reportedly paid out of the classified budget to members of parliament. The member of parliament for Butambala constituency, Muhammad Mwanga Chivumbi, confirmed that this was a resolution reached during a meeting of the opposition caucus. They condemned the action, agreeing to sign the document and prepare a list that will be made public in the media on Monday next week.
Opposition members of parliament have commented on the allegations made about MPs from the National Resistance Movement NRM party, independents and opposition members receiving a cash bonanza of 100 million Ugandan shillings, which information began circulating on social media at the start of this week. Reports indicate that the money was given to MPs as a token of appreciation for supporting the passing of the coffee bill and also as an incentive to back the UPDF amendment bill. It is alleged that these funds were drawn from the classified budget of State House and distributed secretly, this time bypassing the usual channels through MPs' accounts.
Now, they realize once they do that, we always have a chance to return this money. They found it a non-starter. Now they adopted a new method. That new method is where money is given to members of parliament in envelopes.
The opposition members are now urging parliamentary leadership to allow MPs sufficient time to scrutinize the supplementary budget.
This classified account and the manner in which we pass supplementaries is a testimony to the abuse that is occurring in this parliament. Political diversity. Please, this is bad money. We shouldn't fall prey to this game.
A meeting of the opposition caucus has resolved to draft a document in which all members who have not received the money will sign, publicly condemning the act.
By the alarming and unprecedented levels of corruption, abuse of authority to the detriment of Ugandans. Now, therefore, resolve as follows. Challenge the IGG to swing into action to recover all the payments and prosecute the culprits.
As of press time, over 30 opposition MPs had already signed the document.
31 members have signed just instantly, and these are so far that have signed.
It is really absurd that they talk in a groupage way, that MPs have been given millions, yet you haven't received any penny. So when I put a signature on this, it is one way of easing the investigations.
Chadondo East MP Mwada Nkunyinji says secretly distributing money undermines the legislative process, calling for a formal, thorough investigation into the matter.
Where I come from in Chadondo East, people of Chitezi Landfill haven't been compensated, and some of the victims, the listed 72, require compensation of less than 100 million. Now, when they hear such secret sharing within Parliament, it becomes concerning and alarming to the community. We protest it, we detest it, and we deny any involvement. We also call
Karim Masaba, MP for Industrial Division, Mbale City, and member of the Parliamentary Budget Committee, stated that no donation money was passed under the Parliamentary Commission.
I have signed a document to confirm that I will not be receiving any money in case it's to come, because I do not know its source, if it is to come, because the money that we are to get, that we are supposed to get as members of Parliament, we did pass it in our budget committee, and we are aware of what we are supposed to get. And as I speak, we've not even received our salary or emoluments yet, and we are demanding, we have a lot of arrears, trips.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiwa, recently called these allegations street talk and denied that members of Parliament had been paid, they said, 100 million Ugandan shillings each. Amnafka Farid and Gloria Gwitabinji at Parliament.
The Uganda Registration Services Bureau has held its 8th annual Insolvency Conference, bringing together legal and business experts, including members of the judiciary, to discuss strategies for balancing financial stability, recovery and investment. The conference was held at the Sheraton Hotel in Kampala under the theme, Balancing Stability, Recovery and Investment Strategies.
The Registrar General of Uganda Registration Services Bureau, Makerere, has emphasized the importance of professionalism and governance in business management. She highlighted that many businesses fail due to poor leadership and the absence of qualified personnel. Speaking at a high-level engagement, Kainewisho also shared URSB success stories, mentioning that they have successfully sensitized over 1,000 businesses on market sustainability, intellectual property management, and proper business exit strategies.
Engagement, the conference, usually when we sit, we come up with actionable spaces. We evaluate, first of all, what we have done across the year, the new emerging things globally and regionally. How is, for example, AI going to affect the business rescue mechanisms, or going to affect the insolvency and receivership regimes? So we discuss those issues and then come up with actionable points and go and implement.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiwa, who officiated at the event, urged Ugandans to register their businesses. He stressed the importance of legal recognition, access to credit, and the protection of business identity.
Quietly, the stress that goes with business. They don't want to let go. I've betrayed my family. They will talk about me on the streets. And that's why most businesses have ended up dying completely. So that stigma that comes with insolvency, especially from the SME sector. It's very, very critical because we are a country that survives on SMEs. We are not a country that survives on big companies.
The annual conference served as a platform for strengthening partnerships with URSB, the judiciary and the private sector in a joint effort to support business recovery and enhance financial resilience.
Uganda has been recognized and awarded at the annual Investment Meeting Congress in the United Arab Emirates that concluded on the 9th of April 2025. The AIM Awards were aimed at recognizing the best performing investment promotion agencies across the globe.
From the United Arab Emirates, Ambassador Zake Kibedi has brought the AIM Investment Award 2025 home, which he handed over to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at a ceremony presided over by the State Minister for Investment, Evelyn Anite.
This is largely because of the policy of transforming our embassies and foreign affairs from just doing diplomacy to doing commercial diplomacy. I commend Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Permanent Secretary and all the ministers in Foreign Affairs and all the ambassadors that we have sent abroad for working tirelessly to ensure that this policy of transforming Uganda's foreign affairs to doing commercial diplomacy. Congratulations.
For the third consecutive year, Uganda has received this prestigious recognition not by chance but through deliberate and strategic efforts, says Vincent Bajire, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
The government of Uganda has been consistent, and specifically the NRM government, in facilitating investment with enablers such as electricity. You know our journey as far as electricity generation is concerned.
Uganda continues to attract foreign direct investments. In the recent months, the United Arab Emirates has emerged among the top investors and remains a key export market for Ugandan products.
Under economic and commercial diplomacy, we look at promoting exports. As you are well aware, as I said before, that Uganda established this mission to promote economic and commercial diplomacy. For the first time in history, UAE last year became #1 market destination for Ugandan products.
Ambassador Zake Kibedi says the Ugandan consulate in the UAE has adopted a unique and proactive approach which is drawing attention of the UAE investors and positioning Uganda as a prime investment destination.
Last year in October, we commissioned a Uganda Business Center in Dubai. The business center now, its major mandate is to do a follow-up of all the engagements we do in investments, in trade, in tourism. For example, after the recently concluded Uganda-UAE Business Forum, we've had over 10 companies that have come on ground and they've been 100% facilitated by the business center.
The AIM Investments Award 2025 were designed to recognize the best performing investment promotion agencies from across the globe. Dennis Igor and Komagum Rogers for UBC News.
The African Women Major Group have commended African leaders for progress in implementing the social development goals. With only 5 years until the 2030 deadline, women's activists urge member states to adopt feminist-informed recommendations and implement transformative actions to ensure SDGs are achieved for all women and girls across Africa.
As Africa nears the final 5 years of the Agenda 2030 and progresses towards Agenda 2063, African feminists at the 11th session of the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development have called for transformative and inclusive development. This was during a side event at the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development in Munyonyo.
This is a critical opportunity to review the progress we've made so far and address the challenges around implementing the SDGs, specifically on the continent.
Feminists under the Africa Women's Major Group challenged African leaders to prioritize increased funding for health sectors across the continent.
We are really calling our member states to prioritize universal health coverage and integrate sexual reproductive health and rights as part and essential component when it comes to achieving universal health coverage.
They demand for an end to the economic marginalization of women, highlighting that only 26% of parliamentary seats are held by women.
Only 13 are in corporate leadership positions. And if we also look at the fact that about African women comprise 62% of the workforce, compared with the global average of 47, and they contribute 44% of the household needs. Yet, 1 in every 10 women globally who's living in extreme poverty, majority of them are on the African continent.
There's a need to strengthen women leadership by improving the women's protection. And how they can do that is to ensure that then there's implementation of affirmative action, because most of our member states have affirmative action in place, by providing incentives to encourage women's leadership.
Available statistics show that millions of Africans continue to struggle to access quality health care, with many countries spending significantly less than the World Health Organization recommended minimum on health. Health expenditures average only 7% of national budgets, far short of the 15% commitment made in 2001. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
The United Nations Population Fund Regional Director for East and Southern Africa, Lydia Zigomo, has promised to support Uganda in managing the refugee crisis. Zigomo, who is currently in Uganda to attend the ongoing Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development, made the pledge today during a meeting with Uganda's Prime Minister Robina Nabanja at Speak Resort Munyonyo in Kampala.
As a result of the war tension in the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan, the numbers of refugees entering Uganda daily is growing beyond what the country can manage.
Now it's 1.8.
1.9, going towards 1.9. Because every day about, like yesterday, 2,600 came from Congo.
This revelation came as the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja, together with the Minister in charge of disaster and refugees, Engineer Hironek, we are meeting the United Nations Population Fund Regional Director for East and Southern Africa, Lydia Zigomo, today at Speak Resort Munyonyo in Kampala.
The impact on Uganda by DRC
as well
is bigger than what is happening in Burundi. To go and see the impact at the receiving centers. At the receiving centers, and you see people with children with nothing. They have taken 2-3 days without food.
And we don't know how much today we are going to get the statistics.
I was telling her if she can get chance, and she has delegated her to go to Nachibande, the receiving center. And you see people coming with luggage, running for dear life.
Bonek further explained how the budget from the development partners to refugees has continued to dwindle, leaving many of the refugees starving.
The UNHCR was receiving something like $240 million per annum for the operations. Today, when we have close to 1.9 now, they get on their budget is on $110 million.
So less than half of
for all, less than half for double, twice
nearly
the number
double
of refugees. And that one is a disaster because then the refugees are going half hungry.
Yes.
The United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, Regional Director for East and Southern Africa, Lydia Zigomo, promised to raise the red flag to support Uganda in the management of refugees in Uganda.
We are having a more regional approach to the DRC, so that when we are raising funding for the DRC, we also look at how we are raising funding for the place. We then have to commit to actions at RD levels for all the agencies. So I think that might be actually a useful thing for us we can do, and it can be done quite quickly to see how we come alongside the case. We're going to make the case. As much as we're trying to increase.
Because UNHCR told me the other day that they have no alternative but to withdraw.
Because I wasn't aware it was that serious until I mean, I knew you had an impact, but not that it was as serious as it is. even the development partners appreciate Uganda's approach to addressing the refugee problem, and we don't want to see that being adversely impacted.
The Prime Minister Robina Nabanja also made a case for Uganda, for UNFPA, to support the country by ensuring that teenage pregnancies among the youth is minimized.
In terms of our children who get pregnant at an early age.
Yeah, we spoke with your president about that too, when we met with him 2 days ago. Yes, during pregnancy, just as when young people become HIV positive, that's a burden on the health system. It's actually costing you more to look at. We want to ensure that we are supporting in some of those areas.
Sugomo said in her recent meeting with the president, Museveni also raised the same issue, calling on development partners to support Uganda to curb teenage pregnancies.
He was very keen that we find solutions, I think, to it with yourselves. So yes, it's coming on your docket.
Members of Parliament have emphasized the need to allocate 10% of the national budget to agriculture in line with the resolutions of the current CADB 2024 Kampala Declaration. The move is aimed at transforming Africa's agri-food systems into a sustainable and inclusive future. The House was considering the report from the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture regarding the ministerial policy statements for the upcoming financial year 2025-26.
Various sectoral committees presented their budget estimates for the 2025-2026 financial year as part of the ongoing annual budget approval process. The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries has prioritized increased production, pest and disease control, farmer mobilization and agricultural education. It has proposed a budget of 806.94 billion shillings for the next financial year.
The committee recommends that the shortfall of 13.14 billion be provided for the research infrastructure.
The report notes a projected decline in the ministry's budget, which some members of parliament argue could negatively affect service delivery.
We need to be able to provide resources to the sector.
The ministry is also requesting an additional 50 billion shillings to support the distribution of seedlings, including coffee and other crops.
There is a lot of shortage of seedlings amid this kind of dispensation.
Planting seasons, our people are not being helped so much by the PDM. So if there's anything that this parliament can do in this budget is to provide for money for seeds and seedlings to our farmers who are the majority.
Members have urged the government to implement the recommendations outlining the Kampala CADB Declaration to strengthen the agriculture sector.
Very well, we are members of recent CADB, that we are signatory that 10% of the national budget should be allocated. 10% for 70% of our people is not asking for too much. So, Mr. Speaker, as a parliament, we need to provide for money for these people where...
However, some MPs have raised concerns that the current budget places too much focus on crop farming while neglecting the fisheries industry.
But I thought we would also get an idea of the fishermen being given fishing nets. You see, when you give the farmers seedlings, it is also important that you do not leave out the fishermen and women.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is seeking approval for a 424 billion shillings budget for the 2025-2026 financial year. The ministry plans to develop policies and regulations to support labour externalization and also requesting an additional 2 billion shillings to help eliminate child labour.
He recommends that the Ministry of Gender and Social Development should prioritize development of migrant workers database and monitoring system to ensure traceability of Uganda's labour force abroad. 2, resources be allocated to fast track the implementation
of centralized database to track migrant workers, monitor their conditions abroad, and support their integration upon return. Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development should establish the Migrant Workers Saving Fund for the establishment of additional labour attaché offices to provide for better protection for Ugandans working abroad.
Lydia Chomkama and Gloria Gutabinji, Parliament.
Endless conflicts in Africa, poor mindset, failure to industrialize, coupled with the major population being peasants, have been identified as some of the major hurdles hindering the continent's development. These hurdles have been identified by the former Auditor General James Kahoza, author of the book titled Africa, Hurdles in Socio-Economic Transformation.
So it's my great pleasure to launch.
Former Auditor General James Kahoza has identified 6 main challenges facing Africa's transformation. In his new book, Africa, Hurdles in Socio-Economic Transformation, he chronicles how the majority of Africans being peasants and having poor mindsets affecting Africa's development.
The majority of people in Africa are peasants. A peasant is a person who derives a living from a small.
Kahoza, who began working in 1966 as a finance officer in the Ministry of Finance and later as Secretary to the Treasury, identifies failures to industrialize, such as lack of research and innovation, as a major reason Africa continues to lag behind.
Now, the other problem is industrialization. How will Africa employ its people?
Kahoza, now a member of the African Union Advisory Board and board member of Kakera Sugar Works, also pointed out corruption as a killer disease and a major obstacle hindering Africa's progress.
Use your public office for personal gain. That's how you define corruption. Now, it is therefore considered to be criminal, and many countries have criminalized it. But there is also another side of the coin. That is that corruption is a historical necessity.
The book was launched by former Prime Minister Dr. Rukahana Rugunda at Protea Hotel in Kampala, who commended the author for his excellent work.
We'll be using the analysis of Mr. Kahoza, and perhaps we'll have Marxism with African characteristics as described by Mr. Kahoza. So, Mr. Kahoza, you are creating a new leap in our political understanding, and really this book, small as it appears, the contents are heavy.
The board chairperson, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, James Tumusime, said the ideas expressed in the book are exceptional.
Makerere University should give you an honorary doctorate. You are the kind of person who deserves that. Yes, after reading this book, they should certainly honor you. I'm very happy and I congratulate you for leaving your footprints.
Prominent personalities like former presidential candidate General Henry Tumukunde and the current PSST Ramadhan Ngowi acknowledged the fact in the book and said it was a well-researched idea.
A very clear diagnosis, clear and simple diagnosis of Africa, and it tells us one thing: we the people of Africa who don't want to plan and also can't industrialize because we don't want to spend money on research, and as well we are not willing to integrate.
Africa should ask themselves why Singapore under Lee Kuan Yew, a small country, a port of such small size, should be much superior to us compared to the fact that, considering the fact that in 1962 we are the same economy.
The book can now be accessed in most bookshops and, if deemed valuable by the government, will also be distributed in most institutions of learning. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Kampala.
Come on, mo pocket, tambula body street, shoes are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netagayo kaloni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
Ganyiga star 278 then hash ujja kuba ngo oyingire mu kazannyo nga sente zino zimula wano zinawangula zino wano milioni 10.6 ebintu wano nasooka biraba ku TV nange saasoka kikiriza ninga mulaye kino kinzo kubanga kituufu oba yaddala tibya bufere sente zino nazifunye zino nazikoze ki naziwangudde amasanyu nina mangi ebyoto byange byembadde njagala ngenda bituukiriza.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory.
Welcome back from the break and thank you so much for watching. The Minister for Science and Innovations, Dr. Monica Musenero, has urged researchers and innovators at Makerere University to direct their efforts towards creating unique, marketable innovations. She emphasized that developing prototypes which remain in laboratories without being commercialized is not a productive approach. She was speaking at Makerere University closing ceremony of the Research and Innovation Week.
A 3-day Research and Innovation Week at Makerere University has concluded, showcasing hundreds of innovations by students and professors. The Minister for Science and Innovations, Dr. Monica Musenero, asked Makerere University researchers and innovators to focus their work on marketable and unique innovations that won't just sit idle in storage.
Research is very, very important. It generates knowledge, but knowledge must run a journey. And the way research works, is that it must end up as products or services that are sold. And so if we just generate research, but we do not take it to the market, we do not complete that journey, we do not complete it and it solves our problems, then it doesn't work. So I've been coming here, we've been working, the university has made progress, but today my task is to challenge them so that we can start seeing some products. We have some.
The minister also urged researchers to prioritize innovation that enhance the value of Uganda's agricultural products.
The good news is that these priorities are open. So you look at what the priorities are, every sector can fit into that. Every knowledge expertise. There are people who have to come up with innovative business approaches for us as developing nations. There are people who have to come up with innovative communication strategies for us because the world doesn't know.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Professor Buyinja Kadasi, acknowledged the importance of making research marketable and stressed the need for private sector involvement to help transform prototypes into industrial applications.
We wanted to have meaningful impact to national development, and the way we are doing it is now to go into partnership with industry and private sector. For quite some time we've been doing it as science in the laboratory, as researchers alone, and leaving the industry and private sector the other side of the ridge. Now we are doing it in a partnership with them, such that they identify the need, they identify the problem in society, we do the research in the lab, and then once we get the result, the research result, we hand it over to the industry.
The Research and Innovation Week was funded by Government of Uganda with a total investment of 30 billion shillings and were launched by President Museveni this week. Philip Aguta and Winnie Mukisa for UBC News in Kampala.
An official from the National Secretariat for Patriotism, Lieutenant Colonel Cassius Mpabaisi, has urged schools to embrace patriotism training or patriotism training. He was officiating the pass out of Ntake Wampeo Secondary School's students.
An official from the National Secretariat for Patriotism, Lieutenant Colonel Cassius Mpabaisi, has hailed Ntake Wampeo Secondary School students for embracing patriotism training program, which focused on instilling values of patriotism, loyalty and responsibility. Mpabaisi emphasized the importance of these values in shaping the future of Uganda and encouraged the students to become responsible citizens who contribute to the development of their communities.
Being patriotic, you love yourself, you love your neighbor. Why do you love your neighbor? Not because he's short, not because he's tall, but simply because he has something that you don't have, that you need to achieve your goals.
The patriotism program at Ntake Wampeo Secondary School was designed to equip students with the knowledge, skills and attitudes necessary to become responsible citizens. The program covered topics such as national identity, civic responsibility and community service.
Leadership guided by patriotism principles demands that you respond to orders even when you don't agree with those orders.
The pass-out ceremony marked the culmination of several weeks of training, during which students participated in various activities, including lectures, discussions, and community service projects. The ceremony was attended by school administrators, teachers, and parents who praised the students for their participation and commitment to the program. The NSPC and Ntake Wampeo Secondary School have pledged to continue their partnership to promote patriotism and responsible citizenship among young people in Uganda, as Mr. Mukwaya Ivan, the Deputy Head Teacher Administration at Ntake Wampeo Secondary School, explains.
Take the patriotism as a course or as a unit. It now attaches you various values of love for the country, serving and being responsible to the country, having respect, and then as well as the leadership.
Mukwaya also expressed gratitude to the NSPC for partnering with Ntake Wampewa Secondary School to provide patriotism training to its students. Kayen Faith, Tanaba Kenneth for UBC.
The Kuwait Direct Aid Society has delivered a humanitarian aid package of 306 tons of food supplies to Sudanese refugees in Kiliandongo refugee camp. This effort is part of the organization's ongoing commitment to support displaced communities and alleviating food insecurity among refugees.
The aid was transported to the camp for 3 days using 12 trucks. The supplies were first unloaded into a large warehouse in the Magamaga area.
Of course, we are facing challenges amidst World Food Programme's deduction in rations towards the refugees. But then you have come in at a time when there is need, and we pray and hope that Direct Aid, still through continued partnership with us, continues supporting the Ugandan refugee response.
The food supplies were distributed in collaboration with local partners and refugee community leaders.
Most of the Sudanese people here in Uganda, they are suffering a lot. Most of them, they have no family to depend for them or to support of them.
I want to thank the Direct Aid organization for their fund and for their helping the Sudanese refugee.
This initiative is part of the Kuwait Direct Aid Society's broader humanitarian mission in Uganda, which focuses on assisting refugees and underprivileged communities. The arrival of food supplies is a significant relief for refugees in Kiliandongo, many of whom fled ongoing conflict in Sudan and are struggling with limited access to food and basic necessities. Uganda hosts one of the largest refugee populations in Africa, and organizations like the Kuwait Direct Aid Society play a crucial role in ensuring food security and enhancing the well-being of displaced communities. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
The Director for Crime Intelligence in the Uganda Police Force, Brigadier General Christopher Damulida, has assured Ugandans that the Ghetto Empowerment Program is not political and it aims at benefiting all Ghetto people irrespective of their political affiliation. Damulida, the project, says that the project coordinator who was on a Ghetto Empowerment tour in Busoga sub-region made the remarks while meeting Ghetto youths in Bujiri Park after traversing ghettos in Mayuge, Iganga and Luka districts.
While meeting Ghetto youths in Bujiri Park after traversing ghettos in Maige, Iganga and Luka districts, General Damulida urged them not to be diverted by politicians with selfish interests who, after landing them into trouble, they abandoned them. On behalf of the Uganda Police Force, General Damulida assured the Ghetto youths that the force is ready to work with them to fight crime and create sanity in their respective areas. General Damulida also appreciated the Office of the Special Presidential Assistant on Press and Mobilization for organizing the tour on the directive of His Excellency the President, which aims to transform the ghetto people in Busoga.
President yabukola bannamu abalala abayambye era alinda mmwe mweteeketeeke nammwe akole ki abayambe. Sako zino bwe muzikola zibeera zammwe era njagala kino nkyogere bulungi kubanga bapolitician abamu bamanyi okukyusa ebintu.
The Special Presidential Assistant on Press and Mobilization, also the Deputy Spokesperson and Head of the project aimed at reorganizing the ghettos in Busoga, Haj Faruk Chirunda, informed the ghetto youths that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni directed all the ghettos in Busoga to be reorganized and registered so that he empowers them.
Kastamaliza ripoti ye baba wandise check kwa mzee sente daweereza da check webeidye abakulembeza yimwe abona baba n'obuvunaniza wotulayo sente dokudituusa ku banayibu.
Haj Chirunda also implored the ghetto people to vote for transparent leaders who will effectively and efficiently lead them in their circles to achieve a common goal of socio-economic transformation.
The United Nations Regional Service Center has urged learners to embrace digital transformation through adopting computer use in schools. Pauline Jomo was handing over 20 computers and a printer to Ginger College School in Ginger City this afternoon.
And I also link it to the fact that I was telling you, the gentleman in your office there, the Pope. You cannot be on his territory and you are doing a donation like this and you don't say, with God's blessing.
I think artificial intelligence, if well monitored and well utilized, it can really engage the learners and it can be a tool that can aid learning in the 21st century.
The computer population has gone to 66, much as we are intending to have 150, but this is a big step taken. Our children are going to be empowered, and like you know, we have two libraries, the e-library and the analog one, where I use the textbooks. We feel that the two libraries are going to do a great job in permeating knowledge and ensuring that every child can be able to do research to improve on their teaching and learning process. We want also to thank the Ministry of Education for putting us on the list of the beneficiaries. Otherwise, there was no way UN would have known about us.
So we sent a note to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and said, this is what we want to do. And we want you to join us and to help us in doing this. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs sent a note to the Minister of Education and said, this is a good program. Can you please work with the United Nations Regional Service Center in doing this? So the Ministry of Education came up with a list of, I think, 134 schools all over the country. 134 schools all over the country. What the first criteria that we applied was Entebbe, because that's where we are. A lot of people pass by our office, they see a huge campus, they don't actually know what we do in there. So by going into the community and telling them, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how we want to contribute to living together with you, they start understanding what we do. That's what we did in Entebbe. Now we started going out of Entebbe.
We thank you so much for watching. Let's take a short break. On return, we're going to talk business.
The Office of the Prime Minister informs the general public that the country will be characterized by heavy rains from the month of March to May 2025. The public is advised to undertake the following measures to mitigate the devastating impacts of the heavy rains. Clear the drainage channels to avert flash floods. Cover all manholes and avoid walking and driving in flooded road sections. Trim the old or hanging tree branches near buildings and over the roads. Notify the authorities about the disasters caused by the rain in your area. Ensure that school-going children are accompanied to and from school by adults. And lastly, follow the weather updates provided by the Department of Meteorological Services. Please be safe.
Come on, mo pocket, tambula body street, shoes are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netagayo kaloni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Life in Uganda today comes with so many uncertainties.
Where will Madam get Kameza if I get an accident and can't work? If anything happens to me, what will Junior eat?
Kale Musa is still in the hospital. Guy is missing a lot of money here.
With a monthly payment of only 3,000 shillings off your Equity personal account for Equi-Life Insurance, you will be entitled to 50,000 shillings hospital cash per night spent in a registered facility, up to 20 nights every year. and your family will receive 3 million shillings in case of your death. Visit your nearest equity agent to sign up today or call 0312 327 000 for assistance.
Agriculture is Uganda's economic backbone, employing about 70% of the working population and contributing 20% of the GDP. As the world becomes a digital global village, ICT has proven to increase productivity in the agricultural value chain. UNFPA, through its Strategic Plan 3, recognizes the importance of access and usage of ICT-based tools, information and knowledge for farmers by providing them the needed skills to live, learn, work and participate in a digital society.
We came up with a project which we took to UNFPA, and we're happy that UNFPA supported it. That project is called ICT for Farmers. What did we get from ICT for Farmers? We managed to skill up to 100,000 farmers.
UBC Business News tonight. The Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda, Professor Augustus Nuwagaba, has urged insurance companies to do more sensitization in order to change the public perception of the sector. Nuwagaba argues that although insurance was introduced in Uganda in 1948, its growth has been extremely low. He made the observation this morning at the release of the Insurance Perception Report in Kampala.
The main objective of the survey conducted by Reeve Consultants, in partnership with Brainchild Bason, was to determine the current status of affairs in Uganda's insurance sector. Findings from the Public Perception Survey reveal a sector beset by service delivery gaps that have stifled growth.
You have not educated people in your industry. Imagine you are in industry, you come and open your shop and you don't tell people what, even the people we know. Even the people who are driving taxis. That's why you are saying the Kawempe Maganjo, Kagoma, guys, Kawempe Maganjo, they are telling you even in the car, the stages where the car is going.
Professor Augustus Nuwagaba, the Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda, urged sector players to be innovative, persistent and aggressive in raising awareness about insurance.
Areas of inquiry for the survey, knowledge and understanding of the concept of insurance and the products that you offer, you need to work out that and engage properly. Then access to formal and also informal insurance, perception about insurance, experience regarding the process.
The insurance sector, led by the regulator, concur with the survey findings, acknowledging that more needs to be done to scale up operations and grow beyond the current penetration rate of 0.80%.
These are the things which we have told the players to work on, and I am happy that to a certain extent some of them have been worked on, but many of them need to be improved.
And GDP may be growing at 5 or 6 or 7%, but when you have nothing, 5 or 6 or 7% of nothing is nothing. The only way we can increase penetration is if Ugandans have more money in their pocket to spend. Therefore, they'll buy assets that they can insure.
The Insurance Regulatory Authority pledged to step up efforts to shift public perception and also called mainstream government institutions to re-evaluate their stance on insurance in order to realize meaningful progress in the sector.
The mainstream government needs also to change on how they perceive insurance and the contribution of insurance to the entire bigger economic space. I know when the ambassadors increase, it helps us that many people now start appreciating the value of insurance to the economic development of a country.
Tailors and the Uganda Tailors Association are calling on government for official recognition and increased support to boost their role in creating employment, especially among the young people. The association's national chairperson noted that government support would not only strengthen their activities but also contribute significantly to the country's GDP.
Nabukera Stavia, Namuiga Amina and Mwesugwa Evelyn were among the outstanding participants awarded with startup capital in the form of sewing machines and tailoring accessories after emerging as winners in various competitions held as part of the day's celebrations.
We were told to make a handbag for ladies, and I made a bag and I happened to win. So I'm here to receive my machine which I won, and I'm very excited, I'm very happy. I'm very thankful to the association for giving me this machine.
Tailoring is for those who fail to study, but no, it's all the people, all in the world, because no one can walk naked.
This sewing machine, it's really a pleasure to have it because we are going to share it with our students there at the foundation. They are going to be happy to receive the gift from Uganda Tailors Association.
When we look at the considerations, we are not just looking at these people winning, but we want to prepare them for the outside world. Now, when we look at tailors, most of you have had your clothes taken to tailors, and then somehow some are not managing time. So one of the criteria we considered time management. We wanted to make sure that they align with what the client wants.
Uganda Tailors Association National Chairperson Sechimpi Phil revealed plans to professionalize the tailoring industry in Uganda to make it more competitive at international level.
Recently, we got information that every artisan should have a permit. This is going to help us so that we continue to professionalize our industry. So we are doing a lot. We are also working with URA, with the other government institutions, ministries, to see that we move together, to see that we organize the industry because it supports the economy.
The association is organizing a health camp to address medical risks commonly faced by tailors, including back pain, poor eyesight, and respiratory challenges in a bid to safeguard the health of its members.
Have been facing a disorder called musculoskeletal disorder that affects their health. So we've decided, first of its kind, to think of the healthy camp that is happening on 26th June 2025 at St. Stephen Hospital, Makerere. We're having a blood donation. We have aerobics to help our tailors strain all their joints so that the disorder does not happen in the near future to their health.
Mary Namkose, UBC News.
In the world of sport, the route to the first coffee marathon has been launched. The marathon, due on the 24th of May, is expected to attract both local and international runners.
Ever wondered how Ugandan coffee can be marketed across the globe? Wonder not. 1,000 runners will converge in Ntungamo on the 24th of May for the first edition of the Coffee Marathon that will take place in Western Uganda.
For us, it has come at the right time and in the right place, and it's for talent identification, and we hope to get more long-distance runners from the West.
This marathon is organized by the Inspire Africa Coffee Group that runs a coffee factory in Rashamiri Town Council in Ntungamo district.
Wouldn't it be a big deal for us to market it all over the world, like how you hear, you know, Boston Marathon, London Marathon, New York Marathon? It's a time for the world to know that the best cup of coffee comes from Uganda.
With the aim of sensitizing natives on value addition, empowering women in the coffee sector, at least 2 billion is targeted from this marathon, whose start and finishing points will be at the Inspire Africa Coffee Park in Kabulungu Hills, Rashamiri Town Council.
People come and the world come to our nation. They understand the value that we put on every table, in every that cup of coffee. That woman who struggles for a while on how to put that cup of coffee, she's understood then to be fairly paid for her value.
Runners will compete in the 5, 10 and 24 kilometers races, respectively.
And therefore, that's why we're calling all Ugandans, but also to give an opportunity to Ugandans. People are coming out of Uganda probably to go and land in Kasese, land in Nyachara in Barara, land in Kigali, and come in big numbers to see the first concept of its kind of the Africa Coffee Park. I believe the Africa Coffee Park has not happened in the world. This is the first in the world.
According to Duncan Abigaba, the Corporate Affairs Manager at Inspire Africa, the Coffee Marathon will also be graced by the Africa Coffee Festival, with a concert that will also have East Africa's legendary artist, Diamond Platinum, among others.
That is all we had for you at this particular moment. We'll get back here at 10 p.m. with more news. My name is Micheal Lukomwa with Dorothy Namyomba here and the whole team. Let's catch you there.